Close your eyes. Let them stay closed. You've carried enough today. The weight of decisions, the pull of notifications, the endless small negotiations that fill the hours between sunrise and now. You've done enough. This moment, right here, is yours. No one needs anything from you. No task awaits your attention. You have permission to simply stop. Breathe in slowly. Hold it. Let it go even slower. Feel your body growing heavy. Your shoulders melting into the mattress. Your jaw unclenching. The muscles in your face softening like warm wax. Tonight, we're not here to learn. Learning requires effort, and you've expended enough effort for one day. We're here to drift. To let curiosity become a gentle current that carries you away from wakefulness. To discover that knowledge, when whispered in the right cadence, becomes indistinguishable from lullaby. For the next 2 hours, you're safe. You're held. You're exactly where you need to be. We're going to explore something extraordinary together, a creature that's been beside humanity for longer than cities, longer than agriculture, longer than the written word. A finely tuned universe of biology, history, and behavior, all wrapped in fur and devotion. But we'll do it slowly, gently, with the rhythm of breath and the patience of darkness falling. And if you drift away before the end, perfect. That's exactly what should happen. If you're still listening by the final word, that's perfect too. There's no right way to do this. Only your way. So settle deeper now. Let the day dissolve. Let tomorrow wait. We're building a sanctuary here, a campfire in the digital darkness where sleepy souls gather. Where racing thoughts slow. Where rest becomes not just possible, but inevitable. You found your way here. Others are finding theirs. If this becomes your ritual, your path to peace, consider leaving a small mark. A quiet subscription. Not for me, but for the other wanderers still searching for their campfire. So the algorithm knows to guide them here. To this exact sanctuary you're experiencing right now. But that can wait. Everything can wait. For now, just breathe. And listen. And let go. Here's a secret that changes everything. Dogs chose us before we chose them. Wait. Really? Yes. Sit with that for a moment. Let it reframe 15,000 years of history. We like to tell the story as conquest, domestication, as if our ancient ancestors captured wolf pups and bent them to human will through force and patience. But the truth is softer, stranger, more mutual. Picture a campfire. Not in your neighborhood, not in your century. Go back. Back before metal, before pottery, before settled villages. Back to when fire was the only human light in an ocean of darkness. The flames flicker. Beyond the circle of warmth, shapes move. Yellow eyes catching and reflecting the firelight. Wolves. But not like the wolves you've seen in documentaries. Leaner from hunger. More curious. Less afraid. And here's what nobody tells you about that moment. The wolves who crept closer, who traded their wildness for our scraps, they were choosing us as much as we were choosing them. They were making a calculated bet. that proximity to humans, despite the risk, offered more calories than the wilderness. Those particular wolves, the ones brave enough, calm enough, flexible enough to tolerate our presence, they survived. Had puppies. Puppies that were even more comfortable near firelight. This wasn't dominance. It was treaty. Written in shared glances and offered bones. An agreement between species that neither could speak but both understood. You watch while we sleep. We'll share what we kill. You warn when danger approaches. We'll let you sleep by the fire. Generation by generation, something miraculous unfolded. The wolves became other. Still wolves in their bones, in their dreams, in the cellular memory that makes a modern Labrador circle 3 times before lying down. But transformed, shaped, sculpted by proximity to us. And we were changed too. The humans who welcomed wolves survived better, thrived, passed down the knowledge that these almost but not quite wolves made better neighbors than enemies. By the time our ancestors were casting bronze and building the first cities, dogs already existed in distinct forms. Already specialists. Imagine archaeologists in dusty excavations, brushing millennia from ancient bones. Picture them piecing together skulls, measuring jawbones, and discovering this startling fact: by 4,000 years ago, there were already Mastiff-type dogs. Massive guardians with crushing jaws built to protect. Already greyhound-like dogs. Lean velocity machines designed to chase prey across open grasslands. Already herding dogs. Intelligent, responsive, engineered to move livestock with nothing but calculated pressure and a meaningful stare. Think about the timeline. In perhaps 10,000 years, a heartbeat in evolutionary time, a blink in the lifespan of mountains, dogs went from being wolves to being specialists. Each line honed for purpose. Each type carrying the ghost of human need in its very architecture. Some of these ancient forms still walk among us. The Saluki. Close your eyes and picture elegance condensed into living form. A dog so ancient that its silhouette appears on Egyptian tombs from 5 millennia past. Sleek. Graceful. Built like poetry written in muscle and bone. The pharaohs kept them. Treasured them above gold. Mummified them to accompany royalty into whatever waited beyond death. And today, a Saluki sleeping on someone's couch in a modern city carries genetic echoes of running through Egyptian deserts. Of hunting gazelle under skies that no living human has seen. It remembers. Not consciously. But in the architecture of its legs, the efficiency of its stride, the depth of its chest, it remembers. The Basenji. Another relic of deep time. A dog from Central Africa that doesn't bark. Not because it's silent, but because it speaks in an older language. Yodels and chortles and sounds that predate the familiar vocabulary of modern dogs. When a Basenji vocalizes, you're hearing something closer to the original conversation between wolf and human. The sounds that existed before we sculpted barking into its current form. These aren't just old breeds. They're living time capsules. Breathing connections to our shared past. Now let your mind drift across the centuries like wind across water. Watch dogs spread with humans across every continent except Antarctica. Into frozen tundra where they pulled sleds loaded with survival itself. Into dense forests where they tracked game that humans could never follow alone. Onto farms where they herded and guarded. into palaces where they companioned royalty, into cottages where they simply belonged. Each environment shaped them, sculpted them like water-shaped stone. Sled dogs became powerful engines wrapped in thick coats, tireless despite cold that would kill most creatures. Hunting dogs became swift or strong or clever with scent, depending on what prey they pursued. Guard dogs grew large and deep-voiced and intimidating. Lap dogs shrank and softened and learned that their value lay in warmth and comfort rather than work. Until today. Today, there are hundreds of recognized breeds. The exact count shifts like sand. Some organizations list 300, others 400, depending on what qualifies as distinct. But the number matters less than the explosion of diversity from a single source. Globally, 400 million dogs. 400 million individual descendants of those first wolves who chose firelight over wilderness. Living on every continent where humans live. In cities and villages and isolated homesteads. In apartments that would fit inside a single room of a mansion, and in mansions that could house a village. In roughly 1/3 of all human households, a dog sleeps tonight. Maybe in your household. Maybe you can hear breathing that isn't your own. Feel warmth from a body that chose, through the generations, to trust us. This is what you carry forward when you share your life with a dog. This ancient treaty. This partnership that predates pyramids and alphabets and everything we think of as civilization. Dogs gave us protection. Early warning systems that barked at danger we couldn't yet see. Assistance in work that would have broken human backs. Companionship in a world that was colder and darker and lonelier than anything we experience now. We gave them food, shelter, purpose, and eventually, love. Both species transformed by the relationship. Both species made richer, deeper, more capable by the other's presence. As you drift deeper into rest, hold this truth gently. Every dog alive today carries the memory of that first campfire. Every tail wag is part of a conversation that began before recorded history. Every loyal glance is a renewal of that ancient treaty. You are part of something larger than yourself. Part of a story written in firelight and trust and the slow alchemy of wild becoming familiar. And somewhere in that story, you belong. Not as conqueror, not as master, but as partner. As the latest link in a chain of belonging that stretches back through the mists of time. Rest now in that knowledge. Let it settle into your bones like ancient memory. We are not alone in this vast, indifferent universe. We share it with creatures who looked at us and chose us. Who walked beside us through all the millennia. Who sleep at our feet and wake with us and ask only for a place in our lives. Tomorrow you'll wake. But tonight, drift with the knowledge that somewhere, long ago, a wolf looked at a human. And everything changed. Everything. Your breathing is slower now. Deeper. You're sinking into that space between thoughts. Perfect. Because I'm about to show you something that shouldn't exist. Something that violates the basic rules of biological variation. Something impossible that you've probably seen at a dog park. Here's the secret. A Chihuahua and a Great Dane are the same species. Wait. Really? Yes. The same species. Genetically similar enough that they could, theoretically, produce offspring together. A 6-inch tall dog weighing 3 pounds, and a 3-foot tall dog weighing 200 pounds, biologically compatible, Let that impossibility wash over you like cool water. This shouldn't work. No other domesticated species shows this degree of variation. The largest domestic cat might be 4 times the weight of the smallest. Horses vary, but they maintain recognizable proportions. Even cattle, with all their breeds, stay within reasonable bounds. But dogs? Dogs shattered the rules. They became biological clay, endlessly moldable, capable of forms that range from the practical to the absurd to the sublime. Let's walk through this impossible gallery, this museum of living contradiction. Begin with the platonic ideal, the dog that appears in your mind when someone simply says the word. For many people, that's a Labrador Retriever. And there's a reason Labs top popularity lists year after year, country after country. They sit in the golden mean, the perfect middle. Not too large, not too small. Not too energetic, not too calm. Not aggressive, not fearful. They exist in perfect balance. Picture one now. Yellow coat the color of warm honey. Or chocolate, deep brown like river stones worn smooth. Or black, sleek as midnight water. The color changes but the essence remains. Solid build. Water-resistant coat that sheds rain like oil. That thick rudder tail, called an otter tail, that propels them through lakes like a biological motor. Bred to swim into cold water and retrieve downed waterfowl. Bred to work but gentle enough to carry a bird without crushing it. This is why they dominate. They're versatile, adaptable, the biological equivalent of a perfectly balanced equation. They're dogs that can do anything asked of them, and do it with a tail wag. Now shift your mind to the opposite end of the spectrum, to pure, distilled velocity. Greyhounds. Close your eyes and picture this, a creature built from wind itself. Every unnecessary ounce stripped away like excess clay from sculpture. Long legs like a gazelle's. Deep chest to hold enormous lungs and a heart that beats like a war drum. Flexible spine that allows them to stretch out in full flight, all 4 feet leaving the ground, flying more than running. 45 miles per hour. Faster than a racehorse in full gallop. Faster than any predator except the cheetah. From standstill to top speed in 3 strides. 3 heartbeats from rest to a velocity that would earn you a traffic ticket. And here's the beautiful paradox: despite being living race cars, they're couch potatoes. Give them a 5-minute sprint and they're content to lounge for the rest of the day. They burn so hot and fast that they can't sustain it. So they don't try. Sprint, then rest. It's a binary existence. Maximum effort or maximum relaxation with nothing in between. Now we ascend. Not in speed but in sheer vertical presence. The Irish wolfhound. Stand one on its hind legs and you're looking up at something taller than most adult humans. Even on all 4s, their shoulder can reach past your waist. These are dogs bred to hunt wolves in ancient Ireland. Think about what that required: size enough to tackle a predator, speed enough to run one down, courage enough to face teeth and claws and wild desperation. They nearly vanished when wolves went extinct in Ireland. The dogs who hunted them had no purpose. Their numbers dwindled. Extinction loomed. But enthusiasts couldn't let them fade. They preserved the bloodlines, rebuilt the breed, kept alive something ancient and magnificent even when practicality argued for letting it go. Today, Irish wolfhounds are gentleness packaged in intimidating frames. Quiet, patient, aware of their size in the way very tall people develop a careful awareness of door frames and chandeliers. The Great Dane rises beside them, sometimes taller. The tallest dogs ever measured have been Great Danes, 3 feet at the shoulder. From ground to the top of the head, approaching or exceeding 6 feet. Despite the name, they're German. Bred to hunt wild boar, which tells you everything about their courage. A boar is all muscle and tusks and fury. And these dogs were designed to face that without flinching. The gentle giant phenomenon is real with Danes. Something about being that large eliminates the need to prove anything. Secure in their size, they can afford to be sweet. But size isn't just about height. It's also about mass. About density. About the way gravity itself seems to increase around certain creatures. Picture a mastiff. 200 pounds of dog. The weight of a large man, but lower to the ground, broader, built like a living tank. Historically, these were war dogs. Guard dogs. Imagine a mastiff from ancient Rome, wearing spiked collars, released against enemies in battle. Imagine medieval estates protected by these massive guardians, their bulk and deep-throated bark enough to deter most threats. Modern mastiffs retain the frame but lost most of the aggression. Bred for temperament now, not warfare. But the size persists. An echo of their history written in bone and muscle. St. Bernards. Another massive breed. Thick-coated for alpine winters. Strong enough to break through deep snow. To carry supplies. To drag exhausted travelers to safety. We'll explore their rescue work in detail later. But for now, just hold the image, a dog weighing between 140 and 180 pounds, moving through snow that would stop a human, driven by an instinct to save. And now, we shrink. Not gradually, but catastrophically. Down, down, down through the impossible scale until we arrive at something that seems like a different species entirely. The Chihuahua. 6 inches at the shoulder. 3 to 6 pounds. You could mail one in a shoebox. You could tuck one in a coat pocket. The smallest breed, carrying the biggest attitude. Named for a Mexican state where Americans first noticed them in large numbers. But their roots go deeper. Possibly descended from the Techichi, companion dogs kept by the ancient Toltec civilization. Tiny dogs with enormous eyes and delicate bones and personalities that seem to have forgotten they're not wolves. That's the thing about Chihuahuas. They're fearless in ways that defy their size. Protective. Vocal. Willing to bark at threats 100 times their weight. It's almost comical, except there's something touching about it too. That ancient wolf courage persisting even in a body that fits in 2 cupped hands. From Great Dane to Chihuahua. From 200 pounds to 3 pounds. From 3 feet tall to 6 inches. All the same species. All sharing enough DNA that they could, in theory, interbreed. This is the impossible geometry. This is what dogs became through our shaping hands. We needed giant guardians, so we bred giants. We needed lab companions, so we bred tiny. We needed fast hunters, so we bred for speed. Strong haulers, so we bred for power. And the genome, the biological instruction manual that makes a dog, proved flexible enough to accommodate all of it. Plastic, malleable, capable of being stretched and compressed and molded into nearly any form. As you drift toward deeper sleep, like your mind wander through this menagerie, picture all these dogs, from smallest to largest, arranged in a line. Watch them morph into each other like a time-lapse of evolution compressed into seconds. See the shared wolf ancestry beneath every form. The ghost that haunts them all. They're all dogs. All cousins in an enormous family that encompasses more variation than seems biologically reasonable. Rest now in the wonder of this diversity. Let it remind you that forms are temporary. That beneath size and shape, all dogs carry the same essential dogness. The same loyalty. The same capacity for trust. The same willingness to look at a human and say, through the language of their entire being, I'm yours. Drift now with the impossible geometry. Let it carry you deeper into rest. Tomorrow, when you see a dog, any dog, maybe you'll look at it differently. Maybe you'll see the miracle of it. The biological impossibility made flesh. But tonight, just drift. Just drift. Your body is so heavy now, sinking into the mattress like a stone into still water. Stay there. Don't fight it. We're hunting secrets tonight. Small ones. The kind hidden in plain sight. Here's the first: every Dalmatian is born pure white. Wait. Really? Yes. Completely, perfectly white from nose to tail. Like fresh snow. Like unmarked paper. Those famous spots, those ink splash markings that define the breed, they don't exist at birth. Not even a hint. And then, slowly, like invisible ink developing under heat, the spots appear. First as faint shadows in the white coat. Then darkening. Sharpening. Each spot blooming into existence over the first weeks of life like time-release magic. By a few weeks old, the pattern is clear. By a few months, it's complete. And each dog's pattern is absolutely unique. No two Dalmatians were the same constellation of spots. Imagine being there when it happens. Day by day, watching blank canvas transform into something distinctive. Something that will never be replicated anywhere else in the universe. Why does this happen? The mechanism involves the migration of pigment cells during development. But forget the mechanism. Hold instead the wonder of it. Hold the fact that transformation is written into their biology. That becoming takes time. That what we see isn't what was, or what will be, but simply what is, right now, in this moment. Now shift your attention to sound, to voice, to the language dogs speak. Most dogs bark. You know this. Sharp, loud vocalizations. Woof. Arf. The basic vocabulary of canine communication. But there's a breed that rejected this entirely. The Basenji. The barkless dog. Not silent. Far from it. But their voice is different. Ancient. Strange. When a Basenji wants to speak, it yodels. Makes sounds that seem to come from some other family of animals entirely. Part coyote, part bird, part something that has no name. This happens because their larynx is shaped differently. a subtle variation in anatomy that produces a completely different sonic palette. And that difference was preserved through thousands of years of isolation in Central Africa, away from other dog populations, away from the standardizing influence that created the familiar bark. When you hear a Basenji vocalize, you're hearing something closer to the original language. The sounds that existed before humans sculpted barking into its modern form. It's like hearing an ancient dialect of a language that elsewhere evolved into something else. Close your eyes. Imagine that sound echoing through African forests at night, carrying meaning we can no longer translate. Now we venture into the truly bizarre. The mutations so strange they seem like fiction. The Norwegian Lundhund. Say it slowly in your mind, Lundhund. The puffin dog. This breed has 6 toes on each foot. Wait. Really? Yes. Not a dewclaw and 4 toes like normal dogs. 6. Fully functional toes. All touching the ground. All working together. But that's not even the strangest part. Norwegian Lundhunds can bend their head backward until it touches their spine. Can spread their front legs straight out to the sides like airplane wings. Can close their ear canals voluntarily to keep out water and debris. They're like biological impossibilities. Each joint engineered for extreme flexibility that borders on the unnatural. Why? Because they were bred to hunt puffins on Norwegian sea cliffs. Vertical rocks where one wrong step meant death on stones far below. The extra toes for grip on slippery surfaces. The flexibility to squeeze into impossibly tight crevices where puffins nested. The ear closing to protect against water while climbing. Every strange adaptation purchased with the lives of dogs who lacked it. Preserved through the survival of dogs who had it. They're living proof that necessity sculpts form. That environment writes itself into biology. That what seems impossible becomes possible when survival demands it. Now consider sound again, but in reverse. Some dogs don't need special voices because they were bred to be vocal. Terriers. Schnauzers. Breeds designed to alert. To announce. To make noise when they detected rats in barns or intruders near homes. A quiet terrier was useless. So quietness was bred out and loudness bred in, generation after generation, until vocalization became nearly compulsive. If you've ever lived with a terrier, you know. They have opinions about everything. And they share those opinions at full volume. It's not bad behavior. It's design. It's what they were made to be. Other breeds show opposite adaptations. Many giant breeds are naturally quiet. A mastiff doesn't need to bark much. Its size does the talking. A Great Dane reserves vocalization for genuine threats. They can afford to be quiet because their physical presence communicates enough. And then there's water. That ancient element that covers most of our planet. Dogs sort themselves by their relationship to it. Retrievers. Labs, Goldens, Chesapeakes, they love water with an intensity that borders on obsession. Bred to plunge into freezing lakes and retrieve downed birds, they have water-resistant coats, webbed feet like little swim fins, and an instinctive joy in swimming. Show a lab a pond and watch transformation happen. Watch careful suburban pet become joyful water creature in seconds. But a bulldog? That heavy head and short legs and pushed-in face make swimming difficult. Dangerous even. bulldogs sink more than swim. Their biology argues against water. A dachshund, with its long body and short legs, isn't built for it either. They can swim if they must, but it's effortful. Awkward. Not their element. Biology is preference. Form is destiny. What you're built for shapes what you love. Here's a small detail that carries outsized meaning. Beagles have white-tipped tails. Why? Because beagles hunt with their noses to the ground, following scent trails through tall grass and thick underbrush. When they're tracking, their tail stands up, waving like a flag. And that white tip stays visible even when the dog itself disappears into vegetation. A hunter following their beagle can track its location by that bouncing white flag. Can know where the scent trail is leading even when the dog is invisible. One small feature, selected and preserved because it served a purpose. These aren't random. None of it is random. Every feature was chosen. Consciously or unconsciously, humans looked at dogs and decided what to keep, what to breed away, what to enhance. And dogs, plastic and adaptable, became what we needed them to be. The spots that appear like magic. The voices that yodel instead of bark. The impossible joints and extra toes. The love of water or fear of it. The quiet or the loud. The visible tail tip. All of it, design. Purpose. Form following function across hundreds of generations. As you sink deeper into rest, let these small secrets comfort you. The world is stranger than it appears. More intricate. More thoughtfully constructed. Even something as familiar as dogs carries hidden depths. Every breed is a bundle of choices. Every dog is a story written in bone and muscle and temperament. And maybe, just maybe, you are too. Maybe you're also a collection of adaptations. Of features that served purpose. Of forms shaped by necessity and circumstance. Rest now in that thought. Rest in the knowledge that strangeness is normal. That diversity is beautiful. That even the familiar holds mysteries if you know where to look. Let the hidden blueprints of dogs carry you into dreams. 6 toes and yodeling voices and spots that bloom from nothing. All the small impossibilities that make dogs endlessly fascinating. Drift now. Just drift. You're barely here anymore. Floating in that space between waking and dreaming. Perfect. Because tonight we're going inside. Not into your body, but into the body of a dog. Into the quiet machinery that operates beneath fur and tail wags. Begin here. Dogs are omnivores. This surprises people. The wolf ancestry suggests pure carnivore. Fangs designed for tearing meat. A digestive system built to process flesh and bone. But dogs evolved beyond their wolf origins. They learned to eat what humans ate. Grain and vegetables as well as meat. This happened across thousands of years of shared meals. Of eating our leftovers. Of adapting to human food sources. Dogs developed enzymes that wolves lack. They became capable of digesting starches efficiently. Their gut bacteria shifted to process plant matter. This flexibility saved them. From Arctic regions where food was mostly meat and fish, to agricultural societies rich in grain, dogs could thrive anywhere humans thrived. They became metabolically adaptable in ways their wolf ancestors never needed to be. Picture a dog's mouth opening. Count the teeth silently, 42 adult teeth. More than your 32. A toolkit of different shapes for different purposes. Front incisors for nibbling and grooming. Long canines for gripping and tearing. Premolars for shearing meat from bone. Molars for grinding. Each tooth type a specialized tool. Together, they can handle leather-tough meat or crunchy vegetables or anything between. Puppies start with 28 baby teeth that fall out and are replaced, just like human children. The teething process makes them chew everything. Shoes, furniture, hands. It's not misbehavior. It's biology. A drive to relieve the discomfort of new teeth pushing through tender gums. Now consider taste. Dogs have roughly 1,700 taste buds scattered across their tongues and palates. This sounds like a lot until you realize humans have 9,000. Dogs experience taste less intensely than we do. Their relationship with food is dominated not by taste but by smell. And oh, can they smell? We'll dive deeper into that later. But for now, know this: what a dog experiences as flavor is mostly olfactory. The same meal eaten with a blocked nose would be bland, flavorless. Scent is the primary sense for food. For everything, really. Dogs can detect sweet, salty, sour, bitter. But they have fewer sweet receptors than humans and more receptors for water, which we don't really taste. They're particularly sensitive to bitter flavors, which helps them avoid toxic plants and substances. Here's something strange: dogs don't sweat the way you do. You cool yourself by sweating across most of your body. Water evaporates from skin, carrying heat away. But dogs? Their sweat glands are mostly concentrated in the pads of their feet. On hot days, you might notice wet paw prints. That's dog sweat. But foot pad sweating isn't enough to cool an entire body. So dogs pant. Rapid breathing moves air across the moist surfaces of tongue, mouth, and throat. Water evaporates from these surfaces, cooling blood that then circulates through the body. This is why dogs need shade and water on hot days. Why they can overheat doing what would be moderate exercise for a human. Their cooling system is less efficient than ours. They're more vulnerable to heat, more dependent on our awareness and care. Here's a detail that feels like poetry: a dog's nose print is unique. Like a human fingerprint, but written in the ridges and curves of wet nose leather. No two dogs share the same pattern. Every dog carries its own topographic signature on the tip of its snout. Some organizations have explored nose print identification as a way to track lost dogs. It's charming but impractical compared to microchips. Still, the fact remains: touch your dog's nose to an ink pad and you could record something absolutely unique. A pattern that exists nowhere else in the universe. Now we come to sight. To the common myth that dogs see only black and white. False. Dogs see color. Just not all colors. Specifically, they see blues and yellows vividly. These colors appear to them much as they do to us. But reds and greens? Those are problematic. Red might appear brownish or gray. Green might look yellowish or tan. It's similar to red-green colorblindness in humans. Dogs have 2 types of color-detecting cone cells instead of our 3. This limits their color perception but doesn't eliminate it. But they have advantages we lack. Dogs see extremely well in low light. Their eyes contain more rod cells, the sensors that detect light and dark rather than color. This gives them functional vision in conditions where we're nearly blind. And they have a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum. This mirror-like layer reflects light back through the retina, giving photoreceptors a second chance to detect it. It's what makes dogs' eyes glow green or yellow in darkness when light hits them. And it dramatically improves night vision. Dogs are crepuscular by nature, most active at dawn and dusk, times when light is low and uncertain. Their vision evolved for these conditions. They're built for twilight. Here's something most people never notice: many dogs have 3 eyelids. Wait. Really? Yes. 2 you can see. But there's a third. A nictitating membrane tucked in the inner corner of each eye. Normally hidden, but capable of sweeping across the eye to provide protection, like an extra windshield wiper. This third eyelid helps lubricate the eye, has a gland that produces tears, can remove debris. It's constantly working in ways we never see, maintaining eye health, protecting vision. Sometimes it becomes visible in certain breeds, in certain individuals, especially if inflamed in a condition called cherry eye. But mostly it does its job in silence. Hidden, essential, unappreciated. All these details, the omnivorous digestion and specialized teeth, the limited taste buds and dominant sense of smell, the paw pad sweat and panting for temperature regulation, the unique nose print, the blue and yellow vision optimized for dim light, the secret third eyelid, each one a small piece of the biological machinery that makes dogs function, each one shaped by evolution and selective breeding, each one working quietly to keep a dog alive and healthy. As you drift further into sleep, imagine yourself shrinking, becoming small enough to travel through a dog's body like a river system, floating through bloodstreams, observing organs at work, watching the quiet miracle of biology in action. 42 teeth processing food, taste buds detecting flavors, sweat glands cooling paw pads, rods and cones translating light into vision, the nictitating membrane sweeping across eyes you'll never quite see. All of it automatic. All of it operating beneath the surface of tail wags and playful energy and loyal companionship. The body is a cathedral. Complex. Self-maintaining. Full of wonders operating too small and too fast and too internal for casual observation. Nature's engineering at its finest. Rest now in appreciation of hidden complexity, of systems within systems, of machinery so sophisticated it seems almost miraculous. Let the internal architecture of dogs remind you that surfaces are never the whole story. There are always depths beneath, always mysteries working in the dark, always more than meets the eye. Drift. You're so deep now, so far from the surface. Thoughts dissolving like sugar in warm water. Stay with me just a little longer, because I'm about to show you a world you'll never experience. A reality that exists all around you, invisible and untouchable, accessible only to creatures with senses that make ours seem primitive. Here's a number that will rewrite how you see dogs: 100,000. That's how many times stronger a dog's sense of smell might be compared to yours. Wait. Really? Yes. Not 10 times stronger. Not even 1,000 times. Up to 100,000 times more sensitive. Even at the lower end of the range, 10,000 times, it's incomprehensible. It's the difference between seeing a candle across a room and seeing that same candle from 10 miles away. Let that sink into your drowsy mind like rain into dry earth. What does this mean in the physical world? In the practical, everyday reality you share with dogs? It means a bloodhound can follow a scent trail that's 3 days old. Can detect the path you walked 72 hours ago, after rain has fallen, after wind has blown, after hundreds of other people have crossed the same ground. It means detection dogs can smell a single drop of blood diluted in 5 quarts of water. Can detect explosives in parts per trillion. Can find a hidden person by catching the faint drift of skin cells floating on air currents you don't even feel. It means some dogs can smell diseases inside your body. Cancer. Diabetes. Impending seizures. They detect chemical changes in human body odor so subtle that expensive medical equipment might miss them. Changes measured in parts per billion. Molecular whispers that scream to a dog's nose. You walk through a world of sight. Dogs walk through a world of scent. Invisible rivers of chemical information flowing past them constantly. Every person who touched this room in the last week, your dog knows. Can smell the ghost of their presence. The unique chemical signature each human leaves behind. Every emotion you felt today, your dog knows. Can smell the stress hormones in your sweat. The chemical changes that accompany fear, anger, joy, sadness. You cannot lie to a dog. Not really. Your body betrays you through scent. Here's something elegant that makes this superpower even more extraordinary. Dogs can smell separately with each nostril. Not just receiving the same scent twice, but processing different data streams from left and right nostrils independently. If a scent is stronger on the left, the source must be to the left. By comparing intensity between nostrils, dogs triangulate scent location with remarkable precision. It's like having stereoscopic smell. The same way your 2 eyes create depth perception, their 2 nostrils create scent directionality. But it gets more sophisticated, more impossibly complex. Dogs can also breathe in and out through different nasal pathways while tracking. Inhaling through nostrils to bring scent in. Exhaling through slits at the sides of the nose. This creates constant airflow. Fresh scent continuously entering without pausing for exhalation. Picture it, a dog tracking a rabbit through forest. Nose to ground. Moving fast. But never losing the scent trail because its breathing pattern maintains constant olfactory input. It's like streaming data. No buffering. No interruption. Just continuous flow of information from the world written in molecules. Some dogs can even detect heat with their noses. Weak thermal radiation emanating from warm bodies. The moist tip of a dog's nose is sensitive to temperature changes invisible to your touch. This might help blind or deaf dogs navigate by sensing the warmth of people or objects around them. It might help hunting dogs detect prey by feeling the heat signature left behind. The warmth of a recently passed animal lingering in the air like an invisible trail. Smell is their primary sense. The one that dominates their experience of reality. While you navigate the world through vision, reading signs, recognizing faces, judging distances by sight, dogs navigate through scent. They're reading a book you can't even see. written in chemical signatures, in molecular traces, in the invisible language of olfaction that predates vision by millions of years of evolution. But smell isn't their only superpower. They hear things that, to you, simply don't exist. Humans can hear sounds up to about 20,000 hertz. That's our ceiling. Above that frequency, silence. Nothing. Dogs can hear sounds up to 65,000 hertz or higher. Ultrasonic frequencies. Sounds in the same range bats use for echolocation. Sounds that exist in your environment right now, but that you'll never, ever hear. What does this grant them access to? Rodents communicate partly in ultrasonic squeaks. To us, a mouse might seem silent. To a dog, it's broadcasting constantly, announcing its location with every breath. Electronic devices emit high-frequency sounds as byproducts of operation. Sounds we're completely unaware of. But dogs hear them. That's why some dogs react strangely to certain appliances or electronics. They're hearing sounds we can't. Living in an auditory environment we don't share. Dogs can also hear sounds from much farther away. A person approaching from blocks distant. Footsteps you won't hear for several more minutes. This is why your dog often seems to know you're coming home before you've even parked. They've been hearing your approach, recognizing the specific sound pattern of your gait or your vehicle, or even your breathing if the window's open. For minutes before you arrive, your dog has been waiting, knowing, preparing. Dogs with upright ears, German shepherds, corgis, huskies, often hear slightly better than floppy-eared breeds. Upright ears can be moved independently, aimed like radar dishes. Each ear rotates toward interesting sounds, maximizing reception. Floppy ears are charming, expressive, beloved, but they can dampen sound somewhat. It's a trade-off. The aesthetic and temperament traits associated with floppy ears were worth the slight hearing reduction. But even floppy-eared dogs hear better than any human who ever lived. Together, these senses, the astronomical smell sensitivity and the ultrasonic hearing, make dogs remarkable at tracking and detection. They perceive a richer sensory world than we can imagine. A world of scent trails invisible to us. Of sounds we'll never hear. Of information streaming in from sensory channels we barely possess. A search and rescue dog can smell a person buried under 3 meters of rubble or snow. Can detect life where visual inspection shows only destruction. A hunting dog can hear a bird take flight from hundreds of yards away. Can track where it landed by following the scent it left floating through the air. A detection dog can find hidden contraband that no X-ray machine would reveal. Can smell through layers of deception and packaging and chemical masking. And your pet dog? It knows when you're coming home long before you arrive. Knows where you've been by who you've touched. Knows your emotional state from subtle chemical changes in your sweat that you're not even aware you're producing. This isn't magic. It's biology. Senses honed over thousands of generations. Abilities selected and preserved because they offered survival advantages. Tools that wild canines needed for hunting, and that domestic dogs retained even when those needs disappeared. Your dog lives in a different sensory universe than you do. Richer in some ways, overwhelming in others. While you read the world with eyes, your dog reads it with nose and ears. Different languages, different primary inputs, different realities overlapping in the same space. As sleep pulls you deeper, let yourself imagine that reality. Close your eyes, they're already closed, aren't they? And try to picture a world where smell carries as much information as sight. Where you can track a person's path by the chemical traces their feet left on pavement 3 days ago. Where you can hear conversations happening blocks away. Where the invisible becomes visible through scent and sound. You can't really imagine it. The sensory gap is too wide. Your brain doesn't have the architecture for it. But you can appreciate it. Can marvel at the fact that these superpowers exist. That the creature sleeping nearby experiences reality in ways you never will. Rest now in awe of invisible brilliance. Of senses you don't possess operating at levels you can't comprehend. The world is stranger than it appears. Fuller. Richer. More layered. Dogs know this. They live it every moment. And tomorrow, when you see a dog sniffing intently at a spot on the sidewalk that looks like nothing to you, remember. It's reading a story you can't see. Gathering information from a sensory dimension you barely touch. The world written in molecules. In ultrasonic frequencies. In chemical signatures invisible to human perception. They live there. In that richer reality. And we're only just beginning to understand what they experience. Drift now with the invisible world. Let it carry you deeper into rest. Let the thought of superpowers hidden in plain sight, of senses beyond your comprehension, let it fill your drowsy mind with wonder. And then let even that wonder dissolve. Into darkness. Into sleep. Into the deep rest you've earned. Just drift. Your thoughts are barely coherent now. Fragmenting. Dissolving. Perfect. Because tonight we're exploring something that resists definition. Something that changes depending on how you measure it. The question that echoes through veterinary offices and dog parks and living rooms: how smart are dogs? Here's the standard answer: dogs are about as intelligent as a human 2-year-old. But this comparison flattens something beautifully complex. A 2-year-old child is learning language, beginning to understand cause and effect, developing social skills, starting to solve problems. Dogs operate at a similar level of general intelligence, but differently. Not lesser, not greater. Different. Many dogs can learn over 100 words and gestures. Some exceptional individuals know 300 or more. They don't just respond to tone or context. They genuinely understand that specific sounds refer to specific things. Can fetch a particular toy from among many. A blue ball, not the red one. The rope, not the squeaky. They know the difference. Hold the vocabulary in their minds. Can go find a particular family member when asked, "Where's Sarah?" And they'll search until they find Sarah specifically. Not just any human. Sarah. This is semantic understanding. True language comprehension, albeit limited. But real. Some dogs can even learn basic counting. Can distinguish between 1 treat and 2 treats. Between few and many. It's not mathematics. But it's genuine numerical cognition. The ability to perceive and respond to quantity. Dogs solve problems. Give a dog a puzzle toy that requires sliding panels or lifting flaps to access treats, and watch. Trial and error at first. Random poking. Frustration. But then, learning. Pattern recognition. The development of strategy. Memory of what worked before. Eventually, efficient problem solving. The dog approaches the puzzle with a plan. Executes it. Succeeds. Some dogs use tools in basic ways. Using a stick to knock down an out-of-reach toy. Standing on a box to reach something higher. These aren't complex tool uses, but they demonstrate understanding of cause and effect, of how objects can serve purposes beyond their obvious function. When it comes to breed differences, Border Collies are often crowned the most intelligent. And there's truth to this. They excel at learning commands quickly, at working independently to solve herding problems, at understanding complex signals from handlers. Watch a Border Collie work sheep. It's like watching thought made visible. The dog reads the flock's movement, anticipates where they'll go, positions itself to guide without force, makes split-second decisions. It's working multiple steps ahead, planning, adapting, thinking. But intelligence in dogs isn't one-dimensional. It's not a single quality you can measure on a linear scale. A breed that excels at learning commands quickly might lack independent problem-solving skills. A breed bred for independent hunting might seem stubborn because it's not focused on pleasing humans. Different breeds show different types of intelligence, shaped by their original purposes. A retriever's intelligence looks like eagerness to please, quick learning of commands, gentle mouth control that allows it to carry eggs without breaking them. A hound's intelligence looks like single-minded focus on scent trails, ability to problem solve while tracking, independence that borders on stubbornness because it trusts its nose more than your commands. A terrier's intelligence looks like determination, creativity in pursuing prey, confident decision-making even when humans disagree. They're all smart, just differently. Intelligence wears many faces. Dogs enjoy mental challenges. Need them, actually. Puzzle toys. Scent games where they must find hidden objects. Hide and seek with treats or people. These activities engage their minds, provide the mental stimulation they crave alongside physical exercise. A dog that gets plenty of physical exercise but no mental stimulation often becomes bored, develops behavioral problems, destructive chewing, excessive barking, digging, attempts to create their own entertainment in ways you won't appreciate. Because their minds need work, need challenges, need problems to solve. Structured activities like agility training work both mind and body simultaneously. Navigating obstacle courses requires learning the course layout, following handler directions, making quick decisions. Jump this hurdle. Weave through these poles. Run through that tunnel. Climb the A-frame. Each obstacle a small puzzle. The whole course a complex problem. It's mentally and physically demanding, which is why many dogs love it. Why they tremble with excitement waiting for their turn. Training works best with positive reinforcement. Treats, praise, play, rewards that motivate dogs to repeat desired behaviors. When a dog performs correctly and receives something good, a treat, enthusiastic praise, a chance to play with a favorite toy, that behavior is reinforced, strengthened, more likely to repeat. This is more effective than punishment-based training. Dogs learn better when motivated by hope of reward rather than fear of punishment. Positive reinforcement creates dogs who are eager to learn, who enjoy training, who willingly offer behaviors in hopes of earning rewards. It's the language of trust, of partnership, of mutual respect. But here's what's most remarkable about dog intelligence. What truly sets them apart. It's not general problem solving, not working memory, not any of the things we typically measure when we talk about intelligence. It's social intelligence, specifically the ability to read humans. Dogs evolved to understand us, to read our gestures, our facial expressions, our emotional states with startling accuracy. They can follow a pointed finger, something even chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, struggle with. But dogs? They understand instinctively that a pointed finger indicates direction, means look there. They can distinguish between happy and angry faces, between genuine smiles and forced ones, between your going for a walk movements and leaving for work movements. They read your body language with precision that borders on the uncanny. Your dog knows when you're sad, knows when you're stressed, can predict, based on subtle cues you're not even aware you're giving, whether you're about to leave the house or settle in for the night, can tell the difference between getting ready for a walk and other activities that involve putting on shoes. This reading of humans goes beyond what wolves can do. It's something dogs developed specifically through domestication. They became students of humanity, experts in us, specialists in reading the particular ape species they've lived beside for 15,000 years. Your dog is watching you, always, gathering information, building a model of your behavior in its mind, learning your patterns, your moods, your intentions, reading you like a book written in body language and chemical signatures. It knows you better than you might realize, better than you might want it to, because it's been bred across hundreds of generations to care about what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're about to do. That's a different kind of intelligence, one that matters deeply in the world your dog actually inhabits. Your dog might not solve calculus problems, but it solves the problem of reading your intentions, of predicting your actions, of understanding what you want based on gestures and tones you're not even aware you're making. That's specialized brilliance. Minds like mirrors, reflecting back our emotional states, tuned to read the human soul. As you sink into deeper rest, consider this: intelligence isn't a single quality. It's multifaceted, contextual. What appears smart in one context might appear otherwise in another. Different minds, different strengths, different ways of being brilliant. Your dog's intelligence is real, valid, valuable, even if it doesn't look like human intelligence. Rest now in appreciation of minds that think differently than yours, that process the world through different frameworks, that are brilliant in ways you might not recognize as brilliance until you stop measuring them by human standards and start appreciating them for what they actually are. Intelligence wears many forms, many faces, many species, and the mind of a dog, tuned through thousands of years to understand you, that's its own kind of genius. Drift now with thoughts of minds like mirrors, of intelligence too specialized to measure on human scales. Let it carry you deeper, deeper still, into the darkness where all thoughts dissolve. Almost gone now, almost dreaming, almost free from the weight of consciousness. Stay with me just a little longer, because we're about to explore something silent, profound, ancient, the conversation happening without words, the language dogs speak through the elegant geometry of their bodies. Dogs are profoundly social creatures. This isn't incidental. It's foundational, written into their biology at the deepest level. They form pack-like structures. Though in homes, the pack might be a human family rather than other dogs. This social nature comes from wolf ancestry. Creatures who live and hunt in coordinated groups, who survive through cooperation. But thousands of years with humans shaped how dogs express their social nature. They became, in essence, bilingual, fluent in dog, and fluent in human. Dogs often show submission to those they perceive as higher status, but not in a harsh, domineering way the word submission might suggest. It's softer than that, more nuanced, lowering the head, tucking the tail, rolling over to expose the vulnerable belly. These are appeasement behaviors, ways of saying you're in charge, I'm not a threat, we're okay. Most dogs naturally accept humans as higher status. This is why training works. Why dogs defer to human direction without resentment. It's not dominance in the brutal sense. It's willing acceptance of social structure, recognition of hierarchy. But dogs don't just respond mechanically to hierarchy. They're not robots following programming. They understand human emotions, actually understand them. Studies confirm it. Dogs can read human facial expressions. They distinguish between smiling faces and frowning faces, between genuine emotion and forced expressions. Respond differently to each. Approach a smiling person with loose, happy body language. Approach a frowning person more cautiously, if at all. They pick up on tone of voice, body language, energy level, the subtle chemical changes in your sweat when you're stressed. They know when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry or calm or frightened or excited. Some dogs show something that looks remarkably like empathy, comforting crying children without being trained to do so, staying close to sick family members, sharing toys with other dogs who seem upset. This suggests not just conditioning but genuine caring, a basic form of compassion that arises spontaneously. Some dogs can feel jealousy. Show your dog affection, then pet another dog in front of them. Watch what happens. Many will push between you and the other dog, seeking attention, trying to redirect your focus back to them. That's jealousy, a desire to maintain close bonds, discomfort at seeing attention go elsewhere. It's surprisingly human. This emotion we thought was uniquely ours, dogs feel it too, in their own way. Now we come to the tail. That expressive appendage. That biological flag that signals so much. But tail wagging is more complex than happy dog equals wagging tail. Much more complex. The speed and direction of the wag signal different emotions, encode different messages in the silent language of canine communication. A broad, sweeping wag, that's happiness and friendliness. An enthusiastic greeting. I'm so glad to see you. A slow wag might indicate uncertainty. Cautious friendliness. I'm interested but not sure yet. Let me gather more information. A high, stiff wag can signal alertness. Potential aggression. I'm very focused on something and not necessarily friendly about it. And here's something fascinating that most people don't know. Dogs tend to wag more to the right when feeling positive. More to the left when uncertain or stressed. Wait. Really? Yes. This asymmetry reflects brain lateralization. Different emotions processed in different brain hemispheres, expressed through biased tail movement. It's invisible to casual observation, but other dogs notice it, read it, respond to it. They're having conversations through tail asymmetry that we're completely unaware of. A relaxed dog has soft eyes, loose body posture. The eyes are open but not staring intensely, not hard or fixed. The mouth might be slightly open in what looks like a smile, the tongue perhaps lolling out. The body is fluid, not rigid, muscles loose, weight distributed evenly, tail in neutral position or wagging gently, ears in natural position, not pinned back or hyper-alert forward. This is a dog that feels safe, comfortable, at ease with its environment and the beings in it. A fearful dog tells a different story entirely. The body language shifts dramatically. The body gets low, trying to look smaller, less threatening. The weight shifts back, away from the perceived threat. Tail tucks between legs, tight against the belly. The ultimate appeasement signal. Ears flatten against the head, making the head look smaller, less prominent. The dog might look away, avoiding direct eye contact, which in dog language can be confrontational, a challenge. These are signs of profound discomfort, of wanting desperately to avoid conflict, of needing space and reassurance. Reading these signals helps us interact more safely and kindly. A dog with tucked tail and averted gaze doesn't want to be approached, doesn't want interaction. It's frightened, overwhelmed, needs space to feel safe again. A dog with loose, wiggly body and soft eyes is inviting interaction, is comfortable, open to engagement. Dogs also communicate through play behaviors. The play bow is universal. Front end down, rear end up, tail wagging. It's an invitation, a signal that what follows is play, not aggression. Even if the play involves chasing and mock biting and wrestling, the bow establishes context. This is fun. This is safe. Let's enjoy this together. Licking can mean many things depending on context. Submission when a dog licks another dog's muzzle. affection when licking your face, anxiety when a dog licks its own lips repeatedly. The meaning lives in the context, in the other signals happening simultaneously. Yawning, surprisingly, can indicate stress in dogs. Not tiredness necessarily, but discomfort. Anxiety. A dog yawning repeatedly in a new situation might be trying to calm itself, using a self-soothing behavior to manage stress. All of this, the tail wags and body postures, the ear positions and eye contact, the play bows and licks and yawns, it's language. Silent communication. A vocabulary expressed through physical form rather than sound. Dogs are reading us constantly, watching our bodies for cues about our intentions and emotions. And they're broadcasting their own states just as constantly. Every moment, every interaction. Most of this communication happens beneath conscious awareness. Your dog picks up on tiny shifts in your posture, your breathing, your energy. You pick up on your dog's overall mood without necessarily analyzing each individual signal. It's a conversation happening in the space between conscious thought. Mammalian. Ancient. Deeper than words. The poetry of bodies in space. Of creatures communicating through position and movement and the subtle language of presence. As you drift further towards sleep, imagine communicating without language, using only your body, your posture, your facial expressions, your movements. Imagine being so attuned to another being that you could read their emotional state from the angle of their shoulders, from the speed of their breathing, from the way they hold their weight. This is how dogs live, how they interact with us and with each other. Through the constant exchange of physical signals, through conversations older than words, through the ancient vocabulary of bodies in space. Your dog is talking to you. Always. Every moment. Every interaction. Most of the time, you understand without realizing you're listening. Your mammalian brain reads the signals automatically, unconsciously. You know when your dog is happy. Know when it's anxious. Know when it wants something or feels content. Not because you're consciously analyzing ear position and tail height, but because you're fluent in the silent language. Born fluent, actually. It's a language all mammals share to some degree. Rest now in appreciation of silent eloquence, of conversations that don't require words, of understanding that flows through channels older than speech. The poetry of bodies in space. The dance of position and posture and presence. It surrounds you, includes you, speaks to you in a language you've always known but never needed to name. Drift now with the silent conversation. Let it carry you deeper into wordless rest. Let all language dissolve, all meaning, all thought, into the space where bodies communicate without trying, where presence is enough, where simply existing near each other, breathing the same air, that's its own form of eloquence. Sleep now. Let the poetry surround you. Let it hold you as you fall. You're barely tethered to consciousness now, floating in that liminal space between worlds. Perfect. Because tonight we're witnessing a miracle. The transformation from helpless to whole, from sealed and silent to seeing and singing. the journey every puppy takes from birth to becoming. Puppies are born impossibly vulnerable, more helpless than almost any other mammalian infant. Eyes sealed shut like secrets waiting to be revealed. Ear canals closed. They can't see, can't hear, can't regulate their own body temperature, can't even eliminate waste without their mother's stimulation. They're barely viable, barely alive in the independent sense. But they can feel. Touch is their first sense, the only sense that works from the very beginning, the foundation of everything that follows. They feel warmth, feel their mother's body nearby like a planet orbiting a sun, feel the softness of littermates pressed against them in the dark. They crawl toward heat, toward the comfort of contact. Their entire world, in those first days, is tactile. Temperature and pressure and the fundamental need to stay warm and fed. That's everything. That's the whole universe. Around 2 weeks, something miraculous happens. The eyes open. Not all at once. Not with perfect clarity. But slowly, gradually, like dawn breaking over mountains, the sealed lids part. Light enters. The world, previously reduced to touch and smell, suddenly expands into visual dimension. Vision is blurry at first. Shapes and shadows. Light and dark. But it sharpens over days. And with sight comes increased curiosity. Puppies begin exploring beyond the immediate nest area. Begin interacting more intentionally with littermates. The ears open around the same time. Sound floods in like water breaking through a dam. Their mothers breathing. Littermates squeaking. The wider world of noise beyond their small den. Human voices. Footsteps. The ambient sound of life. With sight and sound, puppies become more active, more playful, more recognizably dog-like. This is when they start to seem less like helpless bundles of fur and more like small, uncoordinated dogs. Female dogs carry puppies for about 9 weeks, roughly 63 days from conception to birth. A relatively short pregnancy for the size of the animals involved. The puppies develop rapidly during this time. From microscopic embryos to fully formed dogs ready to enter the world. All of it happening in the hidden darkness of the womb. Litter sizes vary wildly. Some breeds or individuals have only 1 or 2 puppies. Others might have 10, 12, sometimes more. The variation depends on breed size, genetics, the mother's age and health, and factors we don't fully understand. But regardless of litter size, all puppies share the same need: sleep. Enormous, extravagant amounts of sleep. Puppies sleep 18 to 20 hours a day. Maybe more in the first weeks. They're growing so rapidly, bones lengthening, organs developing, brains forming billions of neural connections, that their bodies need extensive rest. Sleep is when growth happens. When experiences consolidate into learning. When the body repairs tissue and builds new structures. When neural pathways strengthen or weaken based on what the puppy experienced while awake. Adult dogs sleep a lot too. 12 to 14 hours a day is typical. But puppies take it to extremes. And tired puppies become cranky. Just like overtired children. A puppy that's been playing hard and is past ready for a nap might become nippy. Difficult. Unable to settle. hyperactive in that manic way that signals exhaustion. Experienced puppy owners learn to recognize these signs. Learn to enforce rest before the puppy melts down completely. Dogs often curl up when sleeping. This instinct comes from wild ancestry. A curled dog exposes less surface area to cold air. Keeps vital organs protected in the center of the curl. Can tuck nose under tail to warm the air it breathes. Even dogs in warm homes often curl up. The instinct persists even when the practical need has vanished. This position also protects vital organs from potential attack. In the wild, a sleeping animal is vulnerable. By curling up, dogs protect their soft belly. Present only their back to potential threats. Its defensive posture encoded so deeply it happens automatically. The early weeks are crucial for socialization. A sacred window exists, roughly from 3 to 14 weeks of age. During this brief period, puppies are naturally curious and resilient. Novel experiences, if introduced positively, become familiar and non-threatening. A puppy that meets many different people during this critical window will likely be comfortable with strangers as an adult. That experiences car rides, vet visits, various sounds and sights, will take these things in stride later. But puppies that miss this socialization window may become fearful or reactive adults. A puppy that never meets other dogs might be uncertain or aggressive toward them later. One that doesn't experience normal household sounds might develop anxiety around doorbells or vacuum cleaners or thunderstorms. The foundation for adult temperament is laid in these early weeks. The world becomes safe or dangerous, familiar or threatening, manageable or overwhelming, based largely on what happens in this sacred window. This brief period of openness, gentle, positive exposure is key. Overwhelming a puppy can backfire. Create fear instead of confidence. Sensitize instead of habituate. But thoughtful, gradual socialization, meeting friendly people and dogs, exploring safe environments, hearing various sounds at reasonable volumes, builds resilience. Creates confident adults who can handle the normal chaos of life without anxiety. Puppies are learning machines during this time. Their brains are forming the neural patterns that will guide them for life. Every experience shapes them, molds them, determines what they'll find normal and what they'll find threatening. It's a tremendous responsibility, one that humans take on when they bring puppies into their lives. The responsibility to provide experiences that will shape confident, well-adjusted adults. To use this sacred window wisely. To understand that what happens now echoes through the dog's entire life. As you fall deeper into sleep, imagine tiny puppies. Eyes still sealed shut like promises waiting to be opened. Crawling blindly toward warmth in the dark. Then imagine those same puppies weeks later. Eyes open and bright. Ears perked. Playing with bouncing, uncoordinated joy. Discovering the world one sensation at a time. Every dog passed through this transformation. From helpless to capable. From blind to seeing. From deaf to hearing. From completely dependent to increasingly independent. It's the journey of becoming, of development, of growing into potential. And in a way, you're on a similar journey. Every night, you sleep. And in that sleep, your brain consolidates memories, processes experiences, repairs and rebuilds. You wake transformed, subtly different than you were the day before, changed by sleep in ways too small to notice but too important to dismiss. Rest now in the knowledge that becoming is continuous. That transformation never stops. That growth, in one form or another, continues throughout life. Let the sacred window of puppy development carry you into dreams of change and possibility, of eyes opening, of worlds expanding, of small creatures becoming more than they were, and of you growing through rest. Through this nightly transformation we call sleep. Drift now with images of tender beginnings, of vulnerability becoming strength, of sealed eyes opening to light. Let it carry you gently, gently, into the darkness where all growth happens. You're barely here, a whisper away from dreams, a breath away from complete surrender. Stay, just a moment more, because this story, this meditation on partnership, needs to be heard. Dogs have worked alongside humans for all of recorded history, but the work has evolved, transformed, adapted to our changing needs. Today, some dogs still herd and hunt, but many work in ways that would seem like sorcery to our ancestors, like magic made real, like impossible devotion elevated to art form. Guide dogs lead blind people through crowded cities, navigate crosswalks busy with traffic, avoid obstacles invisible to their handlers, find doors and elevators and bus stops in environments of overwhelming complexity. They must be intelligent enough to make independent decisions, to disobey commands that would lead their handler into danger. Imagine the training required, the trust. A blind person places their safety entirely in a dog's judgment, and the dog accepts that responsibility, carries it faithfully, day after day, year after year, never complaining, never wavering. A covenant written in daily acts of careful guidance. Therapy dogs visit hospitals and nursing homes and schools. They don't perform tasks like service dogs. They simply exist, calm and gentle, available for petting, for comfort, for the kind of peace that only comes from touching a warm, breathing creature who asks nothing of you. Studies show that interacting with therapy dogs lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety, improves mood. There's something about touching a calm dog, feeling its warmth, hearing its breathing, looking into eyes that hold no judgment, that helps humans feel better. It's biological, chemical, the release of oxytocin, the calming of stress hormones, the simple mammalian comfort of safe touch. Police dogs assist officers in ways that extend human capabilities beyond their natural limits, tracking suspects by scent through terrain and conditions that would defeat human trackers, detecting drugs or explosives through smell, searching buildings where officers fear to go, protecting officers from attack. German Shepherds excel at this work. The right combination of traits all present in one breed: intelligence and trainability, loyalty and protective instinct, physical capability and courage, the willingness to face danger without hesitation. Other breeds serve too: Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherds, Rottweilers. But German Shepherds are iconic. The image that appears when people think police dog, Search and rescue dogs save lives in the most desperate circumstances imaginable. Find lost hikers in wilderness so vast it would take hundreds of humans weeks to search. Locate people buried in avalanches or building collapses. Search disaster areas for survivors trapped under rubble. Their noses can detect human scent even when buried under meters of snow or concrete. They're more effective than any technology humans have developed. Faster. More mobile. Able to navigate terrain that defeats robots and drones. St. Bernards historically rescued travelers in the Swiss Alps. The monks at the Hospice of St. Bernard, a refuge for travelers crossing dangerous alpine passes, kept large dogs to help find people caught in storms or avalanches. The dogs would go out in teams, searching through snow that would kill a human in hours, often finding people buried under avalanches, warming them with their massive bodies, leading rescuers back to the location. A famous St. Bernard named Barry reportedly saved around 40 people during his lifetime in the early 1800s. 40 lives. 40 people who would have frozen to death in the Alps if not for one dog's dedication. Barry became legendary. A symbol of heroic rescue. Of the bond between dogs and humans elevated to something sacred. Today, helicopters and modern rescue equipment have largely replaced street Bernards in alpine rescue. But the breed's legacy endures. A reminder of what partnership can accomplish when both species commit fully. Detection dogs can sniff out drugs or explosives with extraordinary accuracy. Their noses detect concentrations measured in parts per trillion. Find substances hidden in containers, mixed with other scents to disguise them, buried underground or sealed in airtight packages. Methods that defeat mechanical sensors. Dogs work through them effortlessly. They work in airports, border crossings, shipping ports. Anywhere contraband might be smuggled. Silent. Efficient. Impossible to fool. Some dogs detect diseases by scent. Cancer. Diabetes. Impending seizures. They smell chemical changes in human body odor that expensive medical equipment might miss. Changes so subtle they register only at the molecular level. Diabetic alert dogs smell when their owner's blood sugar drops dangerously low. Alert them in time to take corrective action. Prevent diabetic emergencies that could lead to coma or death. Cancer detection dogs have shown remarkable accuracy identifying cancer in breath or urine samples. The research is ongoing, but the potential is staggering. Early warning systems for diseases. Detection before symptoms appear. When treatment is most effective and survival most likely. Service dogs help people with disabilities in countless ways. Opening doors. Picking up dropped items. Alerting to important sounds like doorbells, smoke alarms, crying babies. Mobility assistance dogs help people who use wheelchairs. Opening doors. Carrying items. Even helping with balance and stability. Psychiatric service dogs help people with PTSD, anxiety disorders, depression. They wake owners from nightmares. Provide calming pressure during panic attacks. Interrupt harmful behaviors before they escalate. The dog's trained responses and simple presence can make the difference between debilitating symptoms and functional life. From Alps to airports. From hospitals to homes. From disaster zones to daily life. Dogs work alongside humans. using natural abilities and specialized training to help us, to extend our capabilities, to do things we cannot do alone. The partnership that began 15,000 years ago continues to evolve, finding new applications, new ways for dogs to serve. But here's the truth beneath all of it: even working dogs are companions first. The bond matters more than the task. The relationship precedes the utility. Barry the Saint Bernard didn't rescue people because he was programmed. He rescued them because he was bonded to the monks. Because he'd learned that humans mattered, that their distress demanded response. Guide dogs don't just lead blind people. They love them. The work is inseparable from the relationship. Search and rescue dogs celebrate when they find someone alive. Not because they've completed a task, but because they care about the outcome. This is what makes dogs unique as working animals. They don't just perform tasks. They care about the humans they work with. The partnership is emotional as well as practical, built on affection as much as training. As you slip into sleep, hold this image: a search and rescue dog finding someone buried in rubble. The moment of discovery. The dog's joy at success. Relief that the person is alive. The tail wagging not because of treats or praise, but because the dog genuinely cares. The work and the love, inseparable. Woven together so tightly you can't separate them. Rest now in appreciation of sacred partnership. Of work done not from compulsion but from connection. Of abilities put in service of those who matter. Of covenant written in daily acts of dedication. Dogs work with us because they've chosen us. Because 15,000 years ago, they looked at us across firelight and decided we were worth the risk. And we work with them because we need them. More than we usually admit. More than we like to acknowledge. They make us more capable, more compassionate, more willing to care for something beyond ourselves. The covenant of trust, written in, saved lives and opened doors and comfort given freely. Drift now with thoughts of sacred partnership, of bonds that transcend species, of trust elevated to art form. Let it carry you into dreams of devotion and dedication, of work done with love, always with love. You're gone now, almost completely. Just the faintest thread connecting you to wakefulness. Let it break. Let go. But first, one last truth to carry into sleep. Dogs form extraordinarily strong bonds with humans. So strong that the phrase man's best friend has endured for generations despite its limitations. It's more than cliché, more than sentiment. It's measurable, quantifiable, biological. When dogs and their owners interact, when they make eye contact, play together, simply sit together in companionable silence, both experience increases in oxytocin, the same hormone involved in human bonding, the one that connects mothers to babies, partners to each other, friends to one another. The dog-human relationship activates the same ancient bonding mechanisms that connect human family members. Your dog doesn't just tolerate you. It doesn't just depend on you for food and shelter. It loves you in ways that are neurochemically similar to how you love family, how parents love children, how children love parents. Many people say living with dogs improves emotional well-being. This isn't just perception. It's verified through countless studies. Dogs provide companionship that reduces loneliness. The presence of another breathing being in your space. Someone who's always happy to see you. Offer unconditional affection that doesn't depend on your accomplishments or failures. Your dog doesn't care if you got promoted or fired. If you're successful or struggling. It cares that you're you. That's enough. That's everything. Give you purpose through their dependence. They need you. For food, for walks, for care, for companionship. This need, being needed, it matters. Grounds you. Gives shape to days that might otherwise feel shapeless. For people living alone, especially, a dog is constant presence. Warm body in the bed. Loyal heart in the home. Something that needs you and welcomes you and is simply there. Dogs also encourage physical activity. They need walks. And those walks benefit humans as much as dogs. People with dogs tend to exercise more. Spend more time outside. Get more movement than people without dogs. This contributes to better physical health. Lower rates of heart disease. Reduced blood pressure. Improved overall fitness and longevity. Of course, this requires actually walking the dog. Actually engaging in activities together. A dog whose only exercise is brief backyard trips doesn't encourage much human movement. But a dog that needs daily walks, that begs for play, that invites you outside, that dog gets you moving. Breathing. Experiencing the world beyond screens and walls. Regular exercise helps keep dogs healthy too. Prevents obesity, which causes the same constellation of problems in dogs as in humans. Diabetes. Joint issues. Heart disease. Reduced lifespan. Diminished quality of life. Keeping a dog at healthy weight through proper diet and exercise is one of the most important things an owner can do. One of the greatest gifts you can give. Routine veterinary care matters. Regular checkups. Vaccinations to prevent diseases. Parasite prevention for fleas, ticks, worms. Dental care. Many dogs develop dental disease as they age, which can lead to serious health problems. Infection spreading from mouth to heart. Pain that diminishes appetite and joy. Early detection through regular vet visits makes treatment easier. More successful. Less expensive in both money and suffering. Dogs should avoid certain foods that are toxic to them. Chocolate contains compounds their bodies can't efficiently process. Grapes and raisins can cause kidney failure through mechanisms not fully understood. Onions and garlic damage red blood cells. Xylitol, an artificial sweetener increasingly common in human foods, is extremely toxic. Causes rapid insulin release and potentially liver failure. Responsible ownership means knowing what's safe. Keeping dangerous foods away. Protecting your dog from threats it can't recognize. Shelters and rescue groups help rehome dogs whose circumstances have changed. Millions end up in shelters yearly. Strays. Dogs whose owners can't keep them due to housing changes, financial problems, life circumstances beyond their control. Rescue organizations evaluate temperaments. Provide medical care and training. Match dogs with appropriate adopters. Adopting from shelters and rescues saves lives. Gives dogs second chances. Open space for other dogs who need help. Microchipping helps reunite lost pets with owners. A tiny electronic device under the skin contains a unique ID number that, when scanned, links to owner contact information. Collars and tags can be lost, but microchips are permanent, providing identification that can bring a lost dog home even when everything else fails. And now we arrive at the heart of it. The thing that matters most. For millions of people worldwide, life with a dog is calmer, happier, more complete. Dogs ask relatively little. Food, shelter, care, exercise, affection, time. But they give enormously in return. They greet you with joy when you come home. Every single time. Whether you've been gone 5 minutes or 5 hours. Comfort you when you're sad. Sitting quietly beside you. Resting their head on your lap. Staying close. Make you laugh with their antics. Their strange sleeping positions. Their reactions to mundane things. Their personalities shining through in moments of pure, unself-conscious being. Get you outside, moving, experiencing the world. Remind you that life exists beyond screens. Beyond walls. Beyond the small loops of habit. Give you someone to care for. Be responsible for. Someone who depends on you completely and trusts you absolutely. They love you unconditionally. Not for what you do or have or accomplish, but simply for being their person. The relationship has endured 15,000 years because it benefits both species. We gave them food, shelter, partnership. They gave us protection, assistance, companionship. Today, though most dogs don't work traditional roles, the core relationship persists. Unchanged at its heart. We still give them care. They still give us loyalty and affection. The partnership adapts but continues. As strong now as when first wolves approached first campfires. As ancient as agriculture. As old as cities. As enduring as any human relationship. As you drift into complete sleep, think of all the dogs in the world. Sleeping on couches and beds. Waiting patiently for their people. Playing in parks. Walking beside owners. Working as guides and service animals. Comforting the lonely. Making people laugh. Being, simply, dogs. In all their forms. In all their ways. For thousands of years, we've walked together. And for thousands more, that partnership will continue. Dogs and humans. Friends. Family. Partners in a great journey. You are part of this. Part of this story that stretches back through the mists of time. Part of a partnership that transcends species. Part of something larger than yourself. And if a dog sleeps near you tonight, know that it chose you. Through all the generations of becoming, through all the transformations from wolf to companion, the line led here. To this moment. To this bond. To this ancient treaty renewed each day. Sleep well, dear friend. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. The dogs will keep watch while you rest. They always have. They always will. Sleep now. Just sleep. You're almost gone now. Almost dreaming. almost free. Just a few more whispered truths before you cross completely over. For 15,000 years, we've walked together. Dogs and humans. Partners in a great journey. They've changed us as much as we've changed them. Made us more capable, more compassionate, more willing to care for something beyond ourselves. And in return, we've given them safety, purpose, a place by the fire. The treaty continues, renewed each morning when eyes open, each evening when we come home to wagging tails. 400 million dogs sleep tonight, each one carrying the ghost of that first wolf, each one part of this ancient, ongoing story. And you're part of it too. Part of this partnership that shaped human history. Rest now in that belonging. Let it hold you like warm hands. You are exactly where you need to be. In this moment. In this breath. In this gentle falling. If you found peace here tonight, if these whispered secrets about dogs carried you toward rest, know that other sleepy souls are searching for this same sanctuary. Consider leaving a quiet mark. A subscription. Not for vanity, but so the algorithm guides others to this campfire. So they can find what you found. Peace. Wonder. Permission to simply drift. But that can wait. Everything can wait. For now, let go completely. Let the story of dogs become dream. Let consciousness slip like silk through your fingers. Tomorrow comes. But tonight you're held by something older than tomorrow. By the bond between species. By the ancient choosing. Sleep well, dear friend. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. The dogs will keep watch while you rest. They always have. They always will. Sleep now. Just sleep. If this sanctuary of sleepy souls helped you find rest, let others discover it too. Subscribe. Share. Build the campfire bigger. We'll be here, whispering wonder into the darkness, helping minds find peace. Rest well, always.